Hey Geeks, welcome back to the Geeksiders Show. I'm Josh.
I'm Anna.
And in this video we're talking about EXANDRIA Unlimited Calamity episodes 2 and 3. So if you're not totally caught up on EXU Calamity and you want to avoid any spoilers, skip this video and come back later because everything we say from this point forward is going to be a spoiler. Okay, episode 2. If you had gotten like lost, especially in the first half of the episode of episode 2, I really wouldn't blame you at all because there was a lot of fantasy technobabble.
Yes, so much.
Brennan, basically explaining how the arcane engines of Avalier work, and it was incredibly in-depth and very, very interesting.
Oh yeah.
Like nobody does that kind of thing. Just information dump. I think better than Brennan.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was hard to keep track of, but it wasn't boring. It
Right.
didn't feel like a lore dump or a info dump. It felt riveting. It felt like a necessary part of the story and interesting.
It was like if you were in like a physics class with a really engaging, interesting teacher.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it felt like, only, fantasy technology, fantasy technobabble. And there was so much of it, and it was a little bit hard to follow. Like, I'm just like, man, I need to rewatch that because I didn't understand any of that, but it was really cool.
Yeah. I was like, I only absorbed like 5% of the information he just gave us, but okay. Yeah. Amazing.
And what for me, and you tell me if this is the way you felt too after episode 2. At the end of episode 2, I was like, wait a second. I thought EXU was going to be this group of heroes trying to prevent the calamity.
Yeah.
By the end of the episode, I'm like, wait a second. These are villains who are going to try to cause the calamity. And then by the end of episode 3, I had dropped that entirely. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a group of quasi fuck-ups causing the calamity.
Yeah, so I did not get at the end of episode 2 that they were going to be villains in the sense that they were going to deliberately cause the calamity. I did get that they are villains in the sense that they are bad people and they accidentally caused the calamity. I didn't think any of them was going to do it on purpose, but I was like, it's going to be the result of their negligent actions because they think they're above gods.
And they're all incredibly headstrong, selfish, ambitious, and reckless.
Yeah.
And when you put all of those characteristics together, you get, and you combine
the calamity,
and you combine it with ridiculous arcane power.
Yeah.
You get the calamity.
Yeah.
And basically, the only one of them who doesn't fall under that is Sarret.
Yeah.
Travis's character. Travis, Sarret might not be like a good person, but
not
he's
100%.
not reckless. Yeah, he's not reckless in the way that the others are.
And I like that because Sarret is the only one who doesn't have like major arcane powers. All the others have arcane powers of some sort. And that's kind of the point of Aor and the Flying Cities, is that the wizards and the magic users got to the point where they thought they were just too good for everybody else and that they were better than the gods. So it kind of tracks that Sarret is the only one who doesn't have that mindset.
So the reason why at the end of episode 2 I thought, oh my God, this is a group of villains, is Xerxes. And first, Lewis is an amazing role player.
So good.
He is absolutely incredible. If they added him as a permanent addition to the show, I would not be unhappy at all. I think he would be amazing.
Like, has he roleplayed in any other D&D streams? Because, like, I need to know. I need to watch these.
Right. I mean,
he's so
he's
good.
Amazing.
Yes.
And Xerxes is a really interesting character. But Xerxes at the end of the episode went like into the he was
into the mirror,
into like the mirror, and basically started having a powwow with Asmodeus, and Asmodeus bears this like passing resemblance to Xerxes's husband, And
only because Asmodeus takes the form of whoever you love the most. So
right.
His form is different for whoever's there, and Xerxes loves his husband the most, so that's the form that he takes.
And they kind of cut a deal. It seemed like dude, this, and that's why I'm like, oh my god, they're villains.
Yeah. But also, Asmodeus is not just straight evil.
No.
Like, Asmodeus makes sense. It's not like he's this evil villain and you know you're cutting a deal with the devil. I think at that point Xerxes had probably figured out that he is one of the betrayer gods, just through what the conversation that they had. But still,
everything Asmodeus said made perfect sense.
Yeah, it made perfect sense. And as everybody knows, history is written by the victors. It's not necessarily accurate.
Yeah.
So I don't blame him for listening to Asmodeus and getting where he got and making this deal with him.
Right. And that led into episode 3, which started off with a very intense combat that took forever.
It did. It took so long. Oh my god.
And this is high level combat. This
Yes.
is level 14 combat. The turns take a long time. The rounds take a long time. It was so long. When we were watching it, I was like, what round are they on? And you're like, I think they're still on round 1. I'm like, really?
And you were like, no, they're on round 2. And I'm like, nope, they're round 1. That was his reaction.
And it was round 1.
Yeah.
And so like it was really long, interesting, intense combat. And then they wound up at the Tree of Names.
Yes.
Where, okay, so the first half, it's a super long, intense combat, really interesting combat. The second is some of the most intense emotional role play we've ever seen in Critical Role.
Yeah. I was not planning on watching the whole episode. Like, I was just too tired. I've been sick, or allergies or migraine. I don't know. Something's been going on. I've just been not feeling good. So I did not stay up and watch it on Thursday. So I had to watch it Friday. And so I was going to watch half of it Friday and watch the other half on Saturday, or watch as much as I could on Friday. I was not planning on staying up super late. So I get home from work and I watch. He goes to bed, and I finish the combat, go through the break, and I was like, okay, I'll watch until like midnight, and then I'm gonna go to bed. And yeah, I was on the edge of my seat, sitting on the couch, like, for the whole time. And then before I know it, Brendan's saying, "Is it Thursday yet?" And I'm like, holy fuck, what time is it? And it was 2 a.m.
It was a 5.5 hour
Yes.
and change episode, and the back half of it, especially that last hour and a half or so.
Hour and a half, Jesus.
It was, I don't know, if you watch Vox Machina, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the last episode of Vox Machina utterly broke me. I watched it at work on my phone, and I bawled my eyes out, and I just went, man, I really hope nobody walks by. The last hour and a half of this episode, it wasn't quite to that level, but it was real close.
It wasn't that level of emotion. I mean, I did tear up a little bit, but like I feel like my heart was just like jackhammering in my chest while I was watching this. I was so anxious and nervous and just like, oh my god, what the fuck is gonna happen?
Like there were a few things, like specifically Sam, Loquacious, basically breaking it down for Laren why their marriage failed. Like, she was so devoted to her life's work that she neglected anything that was important to him. And the relationship kind of fractured from there.
Yeah, and not like it. So we have that, and then after that, we get some loquacious insight where he does some things that Laren is not aware of, and then throws in, this isn't the first time he has done this, and I'm like, shh, Sam!
Yeah.
God damn you! How? Why?
like he's covered things up for her a few times.
Yeah.
And she's shady as shit.
Yeah.
And basically, when you get down to it, seems like she's the primary cause of the calamity.
Yeah. Laren is so like we were talking about this before the stream, where Laren 100% caused the calamity, but she did not do it alone.
No,
Loquacious
100%.
helped just by
Covering up for her.
Yeah, covering up and stuff like that. Absolutely helped because he was covering up for her. He was enabling her. So he is almost as responsible for the Calamity as Lorraine is. And then
wait, Nidus is just as much as an enabler as Loquacious is, almost.
Yeah, almost, not quite. Next up in fault, so we got Lorraine absolutely 100% caused the Calamity. Loquacious was almost neck and neck with her.
Enabling her
Almost,
the whole way, almost.
He helped so much that he is almost as responsible for the Calamity happening as her, even though it was her who technically caused it by casting Blight. Next up would be Porco, I think. Is that
that's her last name, I
Marisha's?
think,
Yeah,
right?
That's her last name. Padia or something like that.
I keep calling her Parfait Pourquoi, and I can't help it. That's just what I've started calling her in my mind. So she's Parfait Pourquoi.
I keep calling her Portia, and I know that's wrong. I think it's Porco.
She's Parfait Pourquoi.
But anyway, Marisha's character is then next responsible because she actively helped Lorraine on specific aspects, knowing exactly what she was up to. So, like, those three, like, when we were watching, because, like, the way Brennan DM'd this, I knew literally any of them, except for Sarah, could have caused the Calamity. It was set up so any one of them could have made the final straw, done that final thing, that final act that caused the tree to die and the Calamity to begin.
There was a moment there where I knew it was gonna. What is her name? Lorraine. What is her name?
Laren.
Laren.
I think we've been calling her Lorraine. Oh my gosh, Laren.
It's Laren. There was a moment where she had to decide. You know, like the energy's been going to these different places, and she had to decide. You know, so basically she decided to short the tithe. And I was like, oh shit, that's a terrible decision. And then I went, wait a second, what else has she done? She's willing to short the tithe, which is like the most important thing they can do, because it's what does the replenishment, right? The tithe?
No, the tithe is what goes
to the
druids.
It's the deal they made with the druids.
Yeah, that's why when he said you had to short something, I was like, she's going to say the tithe. Because she doesn't like the druids. She doesn't think that they need to keep honoring this deal. It's been too long.
That's to me when Laren didn't become the villain, but became like the one I was looking at to cause the Calamity.
Yeah.
I was looking at all of her actions, and then, you know, she's like I'm gonna cast Blight on the tree, and then like she waited a little bit, and then Parfait Pourquoi touched the tree and got like sucked, right?
Well, yeah, she got like a vision, and her eyes turned to flame or something like that.
The tree appeared to attack her, sort of.
Well, not
quite. Not really.
Not really, because
but from an outsider, it looked like it.
Yeah, but that didn't set her off.
No, but when
Loquacious then touched Porco, and he got the vision, and then the tree did something with the branches. The way Brennan explained it, it looked like the branches stabbed into them, and I don't think they actually did any damage, so I don't think the tree was attacking them. But from her point, because that's what happened when the tree branch stabbed into Loquacious, that's when she cast Blight immediately. Like, she did it to save him.
And there was a moment where Xerxes was like assisting in everybody's saving throws and like, because he's like, these are my allies, I'm helping all of them. And so like Nidus was doing stuff, and Laren was doing. It was like, oh my gosh, this is like the inner conflict of Xerxes was like on total display right there.
Yeah, and I mean, there was definitely moments when I was like, Xerxes could be the one who starts this. He made a deal with Asmodeus. They were talking about this deal there in the room with the tree. He could be the one who does something to make this happen. It just happened. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, Brennan had plans for all these characters except for Sarah to be the final catalyst that caused the Calamity.
And I don't think there was any way Sarah could have been the cause. Sarah's story in this was amazing. I forget what happened that made him leave. He's like, I'm getting out of here.
Oh, fuck.
I forget what it was now.
He left, I think he left when they started attacking each other. because he was like, "Fuck, this is the end of the world." And
No,
or did he leave before that?
it was before they got to the tree.
Before.
There was something like they were planning to do something, and he's like, "I'm not on board for this. I'm getting out of here."
I think they were just discussing their plans for going to the tree.
There was
And what they
there
were
was
going to do,
something
or
that they were
finding,
going to do.
like they were talking about the tree of names and how important it was, and I think that's when she shorted the tithe, and then they were going to go down to the tree because Nidus wanted to see it, and Sarah was like, "Yo, I am out. This is bad shit's gonna happen." I don't think he knew Calamity shit. I think he was thinking, "Oh, the druids are gonna get pissed. They're going to attack." And
then his first thing was, "I got to get my kids the fuck off of this city."
yes.
And so he's got the crystals. Basically, it's like recall crystals.
Yeah, and thank God he stopped back at his office before, because otherwise, that was, they were talking about, something came up that made him think that Orin was dead, and that he was probably going to be targeted. I don't remember what it was because I have a goldfish memory, but that's, because when he went there, he was not surprised to find him dead. He was like, yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen, and then he got the crystals.
It was.
So that's going to be next episode is getting his kids the fuck off of the.
It was just there was so you can tell like we're talking real fast. There was a lot going on. I'm sure we're wrong about stuff.
Oh yeah, we have probably messed up some details, and we apologize for that. Just so much happens in every episode. It's really hard to keep it straight.
And I cannot say it enough. Brennan was the perfect choice to run this little mini campaign. I don't know of anybody who could have done it any better. I mean, Mercer, of course, he would have done a great job. It's his own lore.
It's his own lore, yeah, of course. But like,
it's Brennan is a master storyteller, and he can drop massive amounts of lore on you and keep it interesting. He when he gets quiet, dude, when Brennan gets quiet, it gives me chills.
Yes.
Like I just get myself chills. He was. If you're watching our videos and you haven't checked out EXU Calamity,
do it.
Seriously,
absolutely watch it.
It's amazing.
So good, so good.
When EXU Calamity started, if you had to pick a character and say they're going to cause the calamity, would you have picked Laren right off?
I think it would have been a toss-up between Laren and Porco. Right from the beginning, they were the two most ambitious in a magical way.
I would have picked Xerxes right off because it started with him.
Oh yeah,
and
the
that
dream.
Vision.
Yeah,
that's who I would have picked.
Thing.
Right, you know, if I was going to make a pick from the first episode, that's who I would have picked. But Laren would have been number 2, just because she was up to some shady shit from the start, and she never stopped. And Nidus, kind of a shady dude, but even he has limits. I cannot wait for episode 4.
I know.
Oh
I can't believe next episode. That's it. That's
it's done.
Yeah, that's it. Like I'm like, I mean, I know that he came out, but like, how is he gonna wrap this up?
Mm-hmm.
And like, are any of them gonna survive? Because at this point, I'm like, I feel like they're all going to die.
I think if any of them survive, Sarah is going to be the one.
Yeah, Sarah maybe.
Sarah's the final girl.
But I think Sarah's gonna get his people out, or his children out, and he's gonna go back to help his people.
Mm-hmm. Through the rest of the Ring of Brass.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really interesting. It's going to be really, really tense. And I'm going to have to steel my resolve and just because it's going to be emotional.
Yeah, it's going to be
for a 4-session campaign to be this emotional is absolutely
wild,
crazy.
Yeah. So that's the thing is like a lot of the times when you first start a D&D stream or a new campaign begins, it takes a couple of episodes for you to have any sort of emotional connection with any of the characters. Now, you might like a character immediately, but if it's a cast that you're not familiar with, it's going to take you, it usually takes, 5 to 10 episodes before you're like, okay, this is the character I really, really like. This is who I'm connected with. it was immediate in the first episode, connections with characters. And each character, it just gets better and better every episode. Like, we're 4 in, and I'm like, I don't want any of them to die. I'm not willing to sacrifice any of them. No, they all need to live. And
Sarah
I'm
and
like,
Loquacious are the only two that I'm really rooting for. The rest of them, I'm fine if they die.
well,
But-
yeah, I mean, they're kind of got villain vibes, but still, I'm like, I still love these characters, all of them. They're so good and so just, they just pull you in.
All right, so would love to hear your thoughts on EXU Calamity so far through episode 3. I'm sure we missed stuff. If we
Yes.
did, let's talk about it down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please let us know by dropping a like on it and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already.
And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.